Hi everyone, and welcome to Daily Revelations, this weekly Bible study where we dive into God's Word one book at a time. And we are in the book of Genesis. This week we are focusing on Genesis 5, which I know if you look at Genesis 5, you're like, how can we spend a whole week here? Well, we use a different precept method, and we just dive in and use that method to ask God to just speak to us, show us something that we haven't seen, something that He can teach us. And I love math, I love numbers, and so when we use the precept method of looking at how the author used words, in this chapter, the thing that I saw was lists. Now, in your study guide, I say, look at either do a word study or a comparison contrast, if then. There are other things you can look at. So don't just think, well, what she did is what I can do. And just really pray and ask God to lead you. How do you want me to look at this? What do you have to say to me? Looking at this chapter, the thing that I saw was this repetitive wording that so-and-so lived this many years and then became a father. And they became a father of fill in the blank. And then they had many other sons and daughters. And then so all of their days were this much. And so within 3 sentences was the entirety of their life. And that's just kind of showed this sandwiching of here's the parent, here's the child, and here are now the next, that child's offspring. And I had a discussion with a friend recently that was talking about, this being stuck between at least, wanting to honor a parent, yet the parent's not really having the faith that they have. And it made me think too about, just how we have our own unique faith. And we see that mentioned in this chapter. There's a couple instances where, like, for instance, Enoch. Enoch had a close relationship with God to the point that after, 365 years, he was gone. God took him away. Now, it's interesting as I looked at the numbers and things that Enoch probably would have been living at the time of the flood. Wasn't it God's grace that took him in that and didn't allow him to die? But yet, the one who lived the shortest period of time was Noah's father. He lived about 165 years less than the lifespan of all of the other generations except Enoch, of course. We don't include him in the, the data because it was an exception. But his father died when the flood came. So Noah's father was one that was just taken away. But each individual chose how they were going to be affected by those from the previous generation, how they were going to be affected by their children and their children's beliefs, and to stand alone in your own beliefs. And I think it's a really good thing to think about is, yes, I am sandwiched in between my parents and my children, but yet my faith is truly my own. And I can't blame something on my parents. I can't blame something on my children. And I also can't hitch a ride on the faith of either of them either. And neither can they. It's unique and personal journey. And it has been since the beginning of time. God deals with us individually. And no matter what we can say has influenced us, what has happened in our circumstances and our past, we have a choice on what to do with that. And we can either blame, point fingers, or just say, well, because of them, I'm in this place and all is good. No, we each have to work it out for ourselves. And that's hard because we want to honor our parents. We want to discipline and teach our children. And so there's a very fine line with those people that are very close to us. And yet God does show us the way as we follow him. So dig into God's word. See what he has to say to you today through this reading. And I will see you right here again tomorrow on Daily Revelation.